let's move on to Treylon Burks. And this is the most interesting topic I think we're going to discuss today, because we heard a lot of, well, really interesting things about him from a couple different coaches. We're going to start with Brian Callahan, who spoke about Treylon Burks. I don't know if he realized it or not, but it was unprompted. The question here at the beginning of the day was regarding Tyler Boyd and the role he's going to play, and whether he decided he wanted to volunteer this information or whether he subconsciously thought this question, which it kind of did, it's an allusion to how does this impact Treylon Burks' role. And I think maybe subconsciously he connected those dots and decided we're just going to roll with this. I'm going to get this out there because I know it's going to be a question that's a follow-up if I don't. He says here a lot of things about Treylon Burks. It is easily the most glowing report we've gotten from anybody in the Titans building on Treylon Burks this offseason. There was a point where we were talking on the show about, like, has anyone seen Treylon Burks? Are we sure he's good and alive and still, is his contract still in good standing? Because we were mentioning Mason Kinsey in wide receiver sentences before we got to Treylon Burks. We were leaving him out of the conversation entirely. That's changed. And whether that is, we'll talk about this in a minute. Let me get this quote from Callahan out first, but there is a lane available here to put on your tinfoil hat a little bit and lean into the conspiratorial, cynical element of the NFL from a salesmanship angle. I don't think that's the angle we're going to take here, but you listen for yourself and keep that in mind.
He's going to play everything. We've told him that from the beginning. He's going to play inside. He's going to play outside. And he's going to carve out a role for himself. And I've had him come up today and do the break after practice because his work he's put in has been really impressive. Just to give you guys some context, yesterday, Tuesdays are our harder days of our 4-day work week. It's a really heavy day. And so the load on the players is high. And what I mean by that is both acceleration, max speeds, and yardage. And so Treylon, I think, ran 3,591 yards on Tuesday, and then hit our top speed and team-leading top speed at 22.6 miles an hour in practice. So super impressive workload and performance. And so he's had a really good offseason. I'm excited about what he can bring for us. I meant when I said that the other day that I think he's going to have a role to play.
Really impressed with.
So those numbers are fascinating, right? 3,700 and change yards in one Tuesday practice, which if you don't have your calculator out, that's like 3.5 miles. Wait, no, that's almost 4 miles, somewhere between 3.5 and 4. A lot of miles to be running in one practice, and in the process go to over 22 miles an hour is crazy. Now, that's a very positive report on Treylon Burks, and you're about to hear from his wide receiver coach, Tyke Tolbert, a similar first impression positive report. My genuine, honest reaction to this is, okay, they maybe have heard in the building us questioning, what's the deal with Treylon Burks? Why aren't they talking about Treylon Burks? Do they hate Treylon Burks? What's this team's opinion of Treylon Burks? And they've decided that's not the truth. We like Treylon. Let's write the record here and make sure we mention that in our press availability. Or maybe it's just the fact that they didn't know, and they come in these first couple of days, he truly has blown them away, which is also possible. I think that's kind of what this is. And I think they plan on, we've talked in recent days about how maybe he's on the trading block. What does Tyler Boyd mean for limiting his role? And right there, we hear from Brian Callahan say, I don't expect to see his role limited by Tyler Boyd. We expect him to play everywhere and to be a significant portion or a significant player in this offense, which is good news. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not, what exactly he means by that. But I think that it is on the face, the reality of it, and maybe putting those trade ideas to rest. However, it got a little salesman-y there at the end. I mean, it was a little, I saw somebody with a very, very good meme on Twitter earlier today with a picture of a used car salesman slapping the hood of a car, talking to a guy like this bad boy right here, 3,700 yards in today's practice, team leading top speed of 22.1 miles an hour. What do we think? There's a little bit of that to it, right? And maybe that's cynical. Maybe that is me being stuck in the Mike Vrabel era. Maybe that is, maybe I need to take my tinfoil hat off, crumple it up, and throw it across the room. I acknowledge that. But if let me just ask you this and give me your honest answer. If a month from now they have somehow traded Treylon Burks for a third round pick to some team that likes the idea of taking a low risk, high reward gamble on a former first round pick, a guy that maybe in that building they thought really highly of in the draft process, who has all the requisite skills and just needs to be molded, and they have a I can fix him mentality. And so they throw a third the Titans' way, they deal him off. If that were to happen, would you be shocked having heard this kind of thing? And maybe I'm imagining we hear more of this kind of thing in the next month or so. Would you be shocked by it? I wouldn't be shocked by it. I'm not. These comments aren't doing enough for me to erase the possibility in my mind. Again, I think they plan on keeping him. I think they like him. I think they are excited by the prospect of him in an offense where he's not being used as a cardio king like he was in the Vrabel offense last year, just running clear out routes and being a decoy and not even giving him a chance to contribute. And I hope that that's the case. Personally, I would like to see him in this offense. I would like to see him given a chance to be that guy. But I don't know. Maybe in the comments, you guys can chime in on whether or not you think that's a conspiracy theory or if that's on the table a little bit. Because at some point, glowing remarks turn into suspiciously glowing remarks, and this could just be compensating for them not mentioning him previously. And it could just be the reality that he's been fantastic so far. But I'm not all the way in yet. I'm like 85% certain they plan on keeping him and they like him. And that number is growing, but there's still a chance that that's not the case. Okay. Let's hear from Tyke Tolbert, who didn't really know Treylon Burks, didn't know much about him before he came here to Tennessee, it didn't sound like, and he's getting a first impression of him these past couple of days. And so here is what he, as his wide receiver coach, has thought about the young player.
Treylon up to this point, you hear things when you come into a new situation about guys and what happened with the past and all that stuff. And I told all those guys, you got a fresh set of eyes on you. And Treylon has done everything and more we've asked from him. Treylon is a guy that this offseason, he's probably the only guy, I think, maybe one other guy on our team, from a receiver standpoint, he's the only guy that's played 3 positions. I'm forcing him to learn all the positions, all the concepts, because you never know where he can line up. He can be outside, can be inside. So he's really taken, a hold of that. He studies at night. He asks me questions. He's really good. I'm really surprised, or pleased, not that it's a surprise, pleased with his progress. He's getting better every day. Every day we've been out here, he's done something and gotten better.
So I followed up that response from Tyke with a question about, Tyke, what do you, like in your head, what's the best version of Treylon? Based on his skill set and your understanding of him and your understanding of this offense they're planning and your understanding of how he could fit into it, what does the best version look like? And how do you get that out of him? And here was his answer.
Again, that's a work in progress, and I've only been around a couple weeks right now, but being able for him to play outside and inside, he's really strong. When he's running a route and he cuts, pieces of the turf comes up out of the ground. So he's got a powerful plant when he plants and separates, so that's good. And like I mentioned, his ball skill is really good. So I didn't really know how well it was until I got here and saw it in person. But I just remember, again, all the things you hear about a certain guy when you come in. I sat him down and said, look, you're the same guy. We brought him in for a 30 visit when I was in Chicago. So I said, you're the same guy who I saw kill Alabama DBs, kill LSU DBs. So in the NFL, guess who you're playing against? The Alabama DBs, the LSU DBs. So you got to continue to be you, get better and control what you can control. And he's been doing that, taking the coaching, and he's getting better every day.
I like that answer. And that part about it's the same DBs, just go do the thing you were doing in college. That's funny, and it's true, right? Treylon is easily the most, maybe not the most, but he is a top 3 most interesting storyline for the Titans right now. And I can't wait. I mean, maybe we'll be sorely disappointed and he'll be like a marginally relevant 4th option for them this season. But I don't know if you heard, they've got some pretty old guys in front of him on the depth chart. In fact, the oldest receiver room in the NFL, and the odds of all 3 of those guys being squeaky clean, healthy players for 17 games next year, not super likely, just statistically. I'm not wishing that upon them. God forbid they get hurt, but just odds are that somebody will, and he'll have to play a bigger role. I mean, How many times do we have to see NWI be the 4th or 5th option coming into a year? And then suddenly he's got a couple weeks where he's wide receiver 2, baby. Wide receiver 1, NWI. Get him out there. It's total tangent, by the way. I saw somebody asked me today, like, I saw the Texans. They signed Ben Skoranek from the Rams. Don't they have a lot of receivers already? They have like 13 receivers in that room. What does that mean? Is he? And I said, Ben Skoranek is in the NWI category of receivers where their names are really only evoked in the media when trying to demonstrate just how badly a quarterback had it on Sunday. Like, it's used in a sentence like, well, I mean, come on, give me a break. He was throwing to Ben Skoranek out there. He was throwing to NWI, was wide receiver 1 out there last week. What do you want him to do? That's the caliber of wide receiver that guy fits into, and that's where an NWI fits in. And tie it back to land this plane back to the Treylon Burks discussion. Maybe Burks is that caliber of guy. I don't think he's going to, and I'm stoked to see not just how he plays and how much he plays, but what his role is going to be. They keep talking about, hey, this guy's going to be playing every position, inside and out. We're going to move him around. And we're excited about his skill set. He's leading the team in distance and in conditioning and in speed and all of these exciting things. It's got me excited, so I can't wait. We'll move on to the offensive line here, and you'll be introduced to Bill Callahan, who was a delight today to talk to. He gave a lot of thoughts on pretty much every position on the offensive line. First, a couple of comments from you guys, and if you're with us live, appreciate you being here. Just a mid-episode update. If you're with us live on Twitter or on Facebook, leave those places. Go to Broadway Sports Media's YouTube page. Pull up YouTube, search Broadway Sports Media, find this live stream, and in the comment section of that video is where you can be a part of today's conversation, like Derek and Kenneth and Glory Day Sports already are. Appreciate you fellas. Kenneth clarifies his question from earlier, saying, yes, his 2024 evaluation. So the question being, what does an injury to Will Levis do to muddy the waters on his 2024 evaluation? Fair question, Kenneth. It makes it frustrating, right? It makes it difficult, more difficult than if he were to just stay healthy. And we saw what he could do with a decent situation around him. It's not a get out of jail free card for, well, we could have evaluated him this year, but he missed half the season. He was hurt, or he was hobbled for 2 months of the year because he got a bum ankle again. Like, that's part of it, man. I don't know if you've been following other things in the NFL recently. There have been a lot of talks nationally. This was born of the Athletic Football Show. They did a QB draft, just drafting quarterbacks in the league who you want on your franchise for the next 3 years, I think was the basis. And Joe Burrow fell to like 8th or something, 9th. He fell far. Like, he went after Trevor Lawrence. He went after Dak Prescott. And a lot of people were flabbergasted by this. And the general reasoning given on the show, I'm not saying I agree with it, but like the general reason was, hey, this guy, he can't stay healthy, man. And, he's coming off of a year where he had a wrist injury that apparently, you listen to doctors, it makes the dart throwing motion really difficult even after that injury heals. And I don't know if you know, but like that's I'm not a kinesiologist. That seems kind of similar to throwing a football. So that's a concern. That kind of guy who's just constantly injured and getting older, was an older prospect when he came out, even though he's a young quarterback in the league. He was older then, and he's just older now. Man, what have we seen the best of a Joe Burrow? I'm not saying we have. That's in our minds. With a Will Levis, you could get to that point. He came out 23 years old as a rookie. He's 24 now. He's going to be on he's going to be in the territory where it's like, well, this guy's almost 30 years old before we know it. And if he were to get injured this year after being injured a portion of last year, that's not great. That's not what you want. And it would be something you have to take into consideration. Okay, is this a guy that's not going to stay healthy, even if he's got the requisite skill set? We're gonna have to look elsewhere because we can't keep this guy on the field. So there's that answer. Derek asking, I was not joking about Treylon. I think if he delivers 500 yards in this offense behind all these guys, he can be something in the future when D-Hop is gone. I don't think that's crazy. Now, listen, he's entering his third year in the NFL. His first round pick, so he's got a 5th year option. They'll have to decide whether or not to take that before the 5th year, obviously. But you've got at least 2 more years of him cost controlled. If he were to have a leap pad year, a stepping stone year this season, and he goes out and he puts up 560 yards and 4, 5, 6 touchdowns, and then next year they put some more faith in him, make him one of the starters going into the year, and he has a strong season. Does that then convince you, okay, maybe we keep this guy around for the right price? It could, and he doesn't have to people are saying, well, they're not, he's going to be a one and done contract guy. And he was with the Titans unless he has an incredible year this year somehow. I don't know if that's the case. I think it can be a stepping stone year. So Derek, I don't think you're in the wrong headspace there.